Welcome, big dogs. Today we're going to look at a failure mode for gears, specifically fatigue analysis of a spur gear. And so this is a first order methodology used to size your gear appropriately before you get too deep into the design process. And so we're going to go through, kind of show the methodology, and then go through an Excel application and show how to program that. So the failure criteria we're going to use today is going to be the Lewis bending stress failure criteria. This is relatively easy to calculate and makes sense in most scenarios. So the Lewis bending stress basically treats the gear like an end-loaded cantilever beam. You can see here in this picture we have some crack form for some reason. It could have been due to fatigue, but the Lewis bending stress failure criteria treats it like an end-loaded cantilever beam with the load applied at the end of the tooth for the worst case. So you have two loads on a spur gear. As it rotates, you have a radial load and you have a tangential load. The radial load is neglected in the calculations, and then stress concentration factors are generally ignored, but we're going to improve this model by including that in our calculations. And then, so this is the general equation. You basically have your tangential force multiplied by your diametral pitch of your gear divided by the face width of the gear, and then you have to determine this Lewis form factor, which you can look up in tables, and I've showed how to uh, fit a best fit line to that in a previous video. One thing we're going to include and to enhance this calculation is basically some load factors. So there's several of these, but generally for preliminary analysis you're going to want to look at or evaluate the velocity dynamic factor, which is a function of the velocity of the gear teeth. There's some equations for that. And then an overload factor, which is a function of the driven machine and or the power source. And so if we include those factors in the Lewis bending stress calculation, we can see that it's just we just added in as a multiplier. And then to improve this even further, we're going to include a stress concentration factor. So because the Lewis bending stress equation or methodology is evaluated based on an end-loaded cantilever beam, we're going to determine a stress concentration factor calculated for load at the tip. We're going to assume a minimum fillet tooth radius, which there's equations for that in this source right here, Peterson's stress concentration factors. And we're going to assume that the E, which is where the load is applied, is going to be the working depth of the gear, which puts the load at the tip of the tooth. So if we include that stress concentration factor in our Lewis bending stress calculation, it's just included as a multiplier. And then to round this out, we're going to use the modified Goodman fatigue model to evaluate the stress state of our gear. And so we're going to look at basically the driver gear, the driven gear, the idler gear. So each of these has a different stress state. Specifically the idler gear, you can see as it goes through one revolution it gets hit from both ends, so that's going to change our operating point on our modified Goodman fatigue model, whereas our driver and driven gears are going to just get it hit on one end. So you can see there it'll change where we are on this graph, but we'll take that into consideration. So that's it. Let's go ahead and step into the Excel application to show how to run calculations for first order analysis using the Lewis bending stress failure criteria. So this spreadsheet determines the fatigue life of a spur gear using the Lewis bending failure criterion. It includes load factors. So you can see here these are our inputs. We have the power of our motor that's driving the system. Power usually remains constant, or we assume it's constant throughout any drivetrain. So we'll usually keep this constant once we determine the horsepower of our motor driving the system. You also have gear rotational speed, diametral pitch, number of teeth on the gear, and then you have some selection boxes here. So you have basically the pressure angle of the gear. Right now I got 14.5 degree and 20 degree, and then you also have the type. So you either have full depth or stub. Those are included in this spreadsheet. So we also have whether it's a rack or not. That's a selection. And then you have a gear manufacturing method. Is it milled? Is it cast? Is it hobbed? Is it ground? More than likely it'll be milled, but that affects the equations and calculations in the spreadsheet depending on what the manufacturing method is. And then you have your power source. So you have uniform, light shock, moderate shock, followed by the roughness of the driven machine, uniform, light shock, moderate shock, heavy shock. And so whatever system you're using, they have resources that'll kind of give you an estimate of what you should select here. And then you have a selection right here, drop down box that says, is it an idler gear? Is it not? So, and then also material. So steel, iron, aluminum, copper alloys, those are the materials included in here, followed by your tensile strength, ultimate tensile strength input, your yield strength input. You can also use equations to estimate this. Your load type is bending, and then your surface finish. These are used to basically knock down your endurance limit, your reliability. We've seen this before. Here's a selection. You can choose a different one, and then followed by temperature, and then this is used to plot our SN curve graph. And so as we go through this, we have equations to determine our pitch diameter, and then our torque. Our torque is used to calculate the forces. So these are your tangential force load, your radial force load, and their respective equations. You can carry this over to do stress analysis on your shaft that has the gear on this. But specifically, we're most interested in the tangential force load. That's what we use in the bending stress calculation. You have a pitch line velocity, which is used in calculating your dynamic velocity factor. And so we have equations for this. So your dynamic velocity factor uses a VBA equation, and these are your inputs. Your gear manufacturing method, followed by the velocity that your gear is moving at. And then you have an overload factor, which is basically determine what these inputs right here, your power source and roughness of your driven machine. And so your overload table is right here. And the source can be found in Machine Elements and Mechanical Design, page 378. And so you can see here, you can do a VLOOKUP function to determine what factor you're using. And then you have your stress concentration factor, which is another VBA function that comes from Peterson's stress concentration factors. And so there's all these calculations, right? It's can get very tedious, but this ties it all together. You have an equation right here that determines your face width. You can change this if you want, depending on what you want to do. That's just an estimate. And then your Lewis form factor. And so there's a VBA function for this, and it takes into account the geometry of the gear tooth, also whether it's full depth, its pressure angle, and all that stuff. And so we went ahead and in a previous video we fit Mine's analytical equations to our data for Lewis form factors. You can see here I did it for full depth 14.5 degree, full depth 20 degree. There's not much error. I mean, everything's within, the worst case is 5% for this full depth 20 degree pressure angle. And then right here we did it for stub teeth. And so that's a real good fit there. And so with that, we calculate our Lewis bending stress right here, taking into account all those factors that we determined, and then we get this value, and then we determine our principal stresses, our operating point, our mean stress, our alternating stress, and then we knock down our endurance limit, right here. And then we have our SN curve plot, and this is valid for steels. It's not really valid for aluminum and copper alloys, but your endurance limit holds true in each case. And then we use the modified Goodman line to plot our plot here. And then we plot our operating point, which is going to be our mean and alternating stress on here. And we can see here, based on our curve, we're in kind of the operating region we want to be in. This suggests infinite fatigue life, which if somebody sees us in a design process, they can't really argue against it. And then we determine our margins of safety using the modified Goodman VBA function. And so we'll have infinite life. Yeah, of course, this is a first order analysis, so you also have to take into account lubrication and those sort of things. But this is kind of the process that I go through to determine, whether my gears will survive fatigue or not. And so you see here we can go change it up. So if we have, for example, say I want it to be an idler gear, I'm evaluating an idler gear, and we come down here, we can see that our minimum and our mean stress and our alternating stress change, and so that affects our operating point in this case. So if we go back, that's our new operating point, but we're still under that curve. So let's say let's increase the horsepower, 20 horsepower. What's going to happen here? Let's go down here. So we sees this model suggests that that gear won't survive, and you can see our operating point falls outside the region of interest, and so we'd have to modify our system. One thing we can do to do that is we could use a different material, or you could change the face width. So this number right here, let's update it to 2 inches. Let's go look at our margin. As you can see, it became positive, suggesting that the gear would have infinite life. And if we go over here to our plot, we can see that we're kind of right on the line there, but you can increase the face width even more to give you a larger margin if you wanted to, and play what if with the other variables. This spreadsheet ties it all together, so you can definitely mess around and figure out what change you need to make to best suit your situation. Here's the VBA code and its various modules. As you can see, if we step through the modules, there's lots of stuff going on here. It's very extensive, but for the most part, we have sources listed. And so if we go to the stress concentration factor, this comes from Peterson. We got a bunch of logic that looks at those drop downs, whether it's pressure angle, the type, those sort of things, stub, full depth, whatever. It goes through and it basically determines our stress concentration factor using lots of defined equations, so you don't really have to go to a lookup table for this sort of thing, and that's the advantage of doing it this way over the AGMA standards. For first order analysis, this is got it all covered. And so let's go look at other modules. Here's our factors. Got a bunch of if logic. Got this from Shigley. If we go to fatigue, we got from Norton's textbook. Then our margin of safety, which I've shown this in a previous video for the modified Goodman model. And then the Lewis form factor, you can see here, it looks at the different drop downs, and these are our best fit equations that we fit to the Lewis form factor data. And so it'll go through and look at the number of teeth and determine what your Lewis form factor should be. So it's quite extensive but well documented. So that's how a first order analysis is done. Obviously there's different standards, like your AGMA standards, that a lot of people say is methodology you should use, but when you're doing preliminary design, you got to rely on the fundamentals. Then once you kind of get it dialed in, then you can go to that type of resource and recalculate what you've done. But that's an example of an engineering application to determine whether your spur gear will survive or get defeated by the fatigue failure criteria. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you next time. Adios.